Good morning, viewers. Welcome to this law lecture series. Today's topic is writ jurisdiction under the Constitution of India, Part 4 in English. Very soon you will have the Hindi version of this lecture. Here is the synopsis of the topic. First, a brief evolutionary course of high prerogative writs. This we have covered in the first lecture. Second, writ, an extraordinary and discretionary remedy. This has been covered in lecture 2. Third, Supreme Court's writ jurisdiction under Article 32. This has been covered in lecture 3. Today we will have High Court's writ jurisdiction under Article 226. Fourth lecture of this series. High Court's writ jurisdiction under Article 226 may be examined under 3 subheads. First, Article 226 in general. A point. First subpart. Second subpart, B, analysis of Article 226. And the subpart C, distinction between Article 32 and 226. Now we will take up the subpart A, Article 226 in general. At present, Article 226 has 4 clauses. If you go into its legislative history, you will find that it has been amended thrice. First by 42nd Amendment Act, second by 43rd Amendment Act, and the last by 44th Amendment Act. Earlier, Article 226 had 7 clauses. Later, one more clause was inserted, bringing its number to 8. By the Constitution 44th Amendment Act 1978, it has been reduced. Article 226 has been reduced to bear 4 clauses. So presently it has only 4 clauses. Like Article 32, Article 226 is also remedial in its nature. Ubi jus ibi remedium. Where there is a right, there is a remedy. Although Article 32 and 226 both are remedial, yet the scope of Article 32 is narrower, and the scope of Article 226 is comparatively wider. Article 32 is a fundamental right in itself. It has been placed in Part 3rd. But Article 226 is not a fundamental right. It has been placed in Part 6 of the Constitution of India. Article 226 affords a constitutional remedy to the person aggrieved either by violation of his fundamental right or on account of some other legal grievance. Like Article 32, Article 226 also constitutes one of the basic features of the Constitution of India. Article 226 provides for judicial review, and as such, it also forms part of the basic structure of the Constitution of India. It has been so held in the leading case of L. Chandra Kumar versus Union of India, 1997 Supreme Court. Now, subpart B, analysis of Article 226. Just now, I told you that at present, Article 226 has only 4 clauses. First clause, 226 clause 1, is right of the person aggrieved. And it also contemplates High Court's writ jurisdiction. Clause 1, 2 things. Right of the person aggrieved, and second, High Court's writ jurisdiction. High Court's writ jurisdiction is confined to the territory in regard to which it exercises jurisdiction. For example, Allahabad High Court exercises jurisdiction in the state of UP. 226 clause 2 is an extension clause. It has enlarged the High Court's writ jurisdiction to such territories which are outside the state concerned. So 226(1) finds enlargement through 226 clause 2. This is very important. 226 clause 1, writ jurisdiction within the state, and 226 clause 2 enlarges the jurisdiction without a state, beyond the state. We will discuss it later. Now clause 3. Clause 3, automatic vacation of ex parte interim order. And the last clause, 226 clause 4, it is in the nature of an explanation. So the first clause, constitutional right of the person aggrieved to move to the High Court, and High Court's writ jurisdiction. Clause 2, enlargement of writ jurisdiction beyond the state limits. Clause 3, automatic vacation of ex parte interim order. And clause 4 is explanatory in nature. Now we will discuss these 4 clauses in a little detail. Article 226, clause 1. It is a non-obstant clause. It is a non-obstant clause. What is a non-obstant clause? हिंदी में इसे सर्वोपरि खंड कहते हैं. सर्वोपरि खंड. A non-obstant clause is one which comes into operation, ignoring the other provisions that may be against it. It is also called King clause. So Article 226 clause 1 is a non-obstant clause. It has nothing to do what is there in Article 32. Ignoring what is there in Article 32, Article 226 clause 1 will operate in its own way. It is not going to be hampered or affected in any way by the provisions of Article 32. Notwithstanding anything in Article 32. It is so worded. So Article 226 clause 1 is a non-obstant clause. Irrespective of what has been provided in Article 32, Article 226 clause 1 will operate. Under this clause, the High Court may issue any directions or orders or writs, including the writs in the nature of habeas corpus, mandamus, prohibition, quo warranto, and certiorari. This power is for two purposes. First, enforcement of fundamental rights, and second, for any other purpose. High Court may issue any directions or orders or writs for the enforcement of the fundamental right or for any other purpose. But this is confined to the territorial jurisdiction of the High Court concerned. No High Court can, as a general rule, issue directions or orders or writs to any person, to any authority, or to government not within the state concerned. Now, Article 226, Clause 2. It is enlargement of Article 226, Clause 1. I will explain it by one example. Suppose the cause of action has arisen in the state of UP. Cause of action has arisen either wholly or partly in the state of UP. Then the Allahabad High Court can issue any directions, orders or writs to any person or authority, and in appropriate case against the government outside that state, outside UP. One may ask you, can the Allahabad High Court issue a direction, order or writ as against a person residing in the state of Bihar, as against a person, as against an authority seated in the state of Bihar, as against the government of Bihar? Your answer should be no. Generally it is not possible. Every High Court is to exercise its writ jurisdiction within the state. But if the cause of action has arisen wholly or in part in the state, then the writ jurisdiction gets enlarged. And the High Court concerned may issue directions, orders or writs to any person residing in some other state, to any authority seated in other state, and in appropriate case, government of that other state. Now 226 Clause 3. Article 226 Clause 3. This can be better understood by one example. Suppose I file a writ petition against you. I am petitioner and you are respondent. I have filed a writ petition against you, the respondent. Copy of the petition has not been supplied to you. Documents supporting the petition has also not been given to you. You have not been given an opportunity of being heard even. See your position. I am the petitioner. I have filed a writ petition against you. Copy of the writ petition has not been given you. The document supporting the petition has also not been given to you. And even you have not been heard. No opportunity of being heard was afforded to you. And in my favor, an ex parte interim order has been passed. Ex parte stay, ex parte injunction, ex parte order has been passed. Now you are totally frustrated. Article 226 clause 3 is meant to afford a remedy to such persons as you in this example. It says to you, the respondent, that you make a stay vacation application before the High Court, stating therein that an ex parte interim order has been passed, that the copy of the petition has not been supplied to you, that the document supporting the petition has also not been supplied to you, and also that you have not been afforded an opportunity of being heard. Alleging all these things, bringing all these things to the knowledge of the High Court through an application under Article 226 clause 3. The High Court under Article 226(3) will decide your application within 2 weeks of its filing. Copy of this application has also to be given to me, the petitioner, who has obtained ex parte interim order. Within 2 weeks, your application of the respondent, shall be disposed of by the High Court. Suppose it fails for some reason, then the ex parte interim order that has been filed in my favor, that has been passed in my favor, petitioner's favor, it will stand automatically vacated on the very next day. So the ex parte interim order can survive only for 2 weeks. After the expiry of 2 weeks, it will stand vacated automatically. This is Article 226 clause 3. Now, Article 226 clause 4. It is explanatory. It is in the nature of an explanation. It says that High Court's writ jurisdiction under Article 226 will not derogate Article 32. Nothing in Article 226 shall be deemed to be derogatory to Supreme Court's powers under Article 32. So if any order has been passed, direction has been issued, writ has been issued, the Supreme Court under Article 32 may reverse it, may modify it, may set aside it. Provisions of Article 226 are not going to reduce, diminish or derogate the Supreme Court's powers under Article 32. Supreme Court is the highest court of the land. So 226 cannot derogate 32. This has been made very clear in the fourth clause to Article 226. Now come to subhead C. Distinction between Articles 32 and 226. This is very important. 32 writ jurisdiction, 226 writ jurisdiction. So how can the two articles be distinguished? Let us see. Supreme Court's power is in Article 32. 32 contemplates Supreme Court's power. Article 26 contemplates High Court's power. First point of distinction. 32 relates to Supreme Court, while 226 relates to High Court. Second, Article 32 itself is a fundamental right. That is why it has been incorporated in Part 3rd of the Constitution. But Article 226 is not a fundamental right. It only affords a constitutional right or remedy. It's not a fundamental right. It has been incorporated in Part 6 of the Constitution of India. So that is the second point of distinction. Now third, the scope of Article 32 is narrower vis-a-vis Article 226. We have already discussed in the third lecture. Under Article 32, Supreme Court can issue any directions or orders or writs only for the enforcement of fundamental rights and for no other purpose. But under Article 226, the High Court may issue directions, order or writs for the enforcement of fundamental right as well as for any other purpose. So the writ jurisdiction of the High Court under Article 226 is wider as against Supreme Court's writ jurisdiction under Article 32. Now this fourth point. Under Article 32, Supreme Court can issue directions, order, writs to be operative throughout the territory of India. Supreme Court's directions, orders or writs are to be operative throughout the territory of India. But High Court's jurisdiction under 226, it is confined to the territory of the state concerned with regard to which High Court exercises jurisdiction. Yes, 226 clause 2 is an exception. If the cause of action has arisen wholly or in part in the state concerned, then the High Court can issue directions, orders or writs which may be operative in other state. That is exception. Next. Article 32 can be suspended in accordance with the provisions of the Constitution. Do you remember Article 32, Clause 4? It provides that Article 32 can be suspended in accordance with the Constitution. Can Article 226 be also suspended? No, it cannot be suspended. 32 may be suspended, but 226 cannot be suspended. This is all for today. Thank you very much.